UFC Fight Night, Gerald Cannonier taking on Caio Borralho in the main event full card prediction. We're going to go through the bottom of the card. Wang, who actually fought Valentin in kickboxing many years ago to the main event. Caio getting his shot in the top 5 of the middleweight division, taking on Gerald, the Killer Gorilla Cannonier, a former title challenger in the middleweight division. So get ready for the full card prediction. We got the Ultimate Fighter finale on this card as well, so should be a fun one for sure. Not a great card in terms of like popularity and big name fighters, but a fun fight card nonetheless. If you do want to see all the bets we are making for UFC Fight Night Cannonier versus Borralho, they will be in the pinned comment down below. It's $1.25 per UFC Fight Night, so very cheap if you think about the grand scheme of things. It's that pinned comment down below or the top link in the description. Without further ado, let's get into it at 125 pounds. Wang and Victoria Leonardo in the flyweight division. Victoria hasn't fought in a while. It's been 1 year and 2 months since she fought Natalia Silva. Got knocked out by her. She got knocked out by Melissa Gatto, and she got knocked out by Manon Fiorot. She's 1-3 in the UFC. She did beat Mandy Bohm, which was a solid win, but personally, I don't really know how she got another contract with the UFC if she was 1-3 in her first contract, but I guess they gave her another one, and now she's fighting Wang. But if she loses here, I have to think that she's probably going to be cut from the UFC. And Wang, I mean, they're probably going to want to push her on to that November 23rd UFC Macau fight card in China and really build the name of the undefeated Wang. She's 32 years old, so not super young, but about in the prime of her career. Again, she beat Valentina Shevchenko, switched over to MMA in 2022, finish, unanimous decision, beat Yanan Wu, who is a former UFC fighter. That is a very impressive win. Yanan Wu also fought girls like Mayra Bueno Silva in the UFC, Jocelyn Edwards, and Gina Mazzani. She was able to go out there and pretty much easily win that fight. Got a finish on road to UFC, joined the UFC. She's not a powerful girl, which is why, unfortunately, I do have to say I have this fight going all the way. She's a great kickboxer, great technique, punches, kicks. Everything is very solid from Wang, but she doesn't have crazy power in her hands, in her feet, in her legs. And I know Victoria is prone to getting knocked out. She's 9-5 as an MMA fighter with 4 losses coming by way of TKO. One of them a head kick from Aaron Blanchfield, which was absolutely crazy in the highlight reel. But I got this one going all the way. I think it's going to be a fun back and forth striking affair. Victoria could have her moments with a takedown or two, but overall I think Wang outstyles Victoria Leonardo to win a 30-27 unanimous decision. Josiane Nunes and Jacqueline Calvalcanti in the bantamweight division. I am going to go with Jacqueline Calvalcanti to barely edge out a 29-28 split decision in the UFC bantamweight division. Josiane had an amazing start to the UFC, knocked out Bimaleki, knocked down, I believe, Ramona Pasquale a few times, but ended up winning a decision. Then beat Zara Farron. She's just very small for the weight class, 5'2" tall. She comes forward and she swings bombs. She's got crazy power in her hands, good finishing ability with 7 knockouts on her record, 0 submissions, and 3 decision wins. She has never been finished in her MMA career either, so Jacqueline, she's going to have to go out there and likely win a decision. She does have a few finishes, but they were before the UFC. Since joining the UFC and LFA, these bigger organizations, decision. And her only loss was Martina Jindrova. You can't really learn a lot about how that fight would correlate to a Josiane Nunes fight because Martina doesn't have that type of a style. Not a lot of people do in the bantamweight division have a similar style to Josiane. So personally, I think this one goes all the way. Jacqueline is taller. She is lengthier. She's better grappler, better wrestler. But overall, I believe she's a better technical striker than Josiane, and I believe she throws more volume than Josiane here. I think Josiane is going to land the better and more powerful shots. That's why this is going to be a close fight on the scorecards, but I think Jacqueline lands a lot more volume and is able to catch her on the way in with some good shots, get hit with some good shots as well. Close one that can go either way, but I'm going to go Jacqueline Calvalcanti to get the win by unanimous, split decision in the women's bantamweight division. Jose Medina and Reese at 185 pounds. I don't know how Jose Medina got in the UFC. He lost on the Contender Series against a light heavyweight. The UFC said, you know, we'll give you a contract if you move to middleweight. He's 33 years old now. I don't know why they've signed him. I mean, maybe just because he's the only Bolivian fighter in the UFC. I mean, that has to be the only reason they signed Jose Medina. If we're being honest here, he's not tall, he's not lengthy, he's not big. He wasn't big for the light heavyweight division, and he sure as heck is not big for the UFC's middleweight division. Zach Reese has decent takedown defense, but was taken down in his UFC debut by Cody Brundage. I don't think Jose can go out there and control and take down Zach Reese like Cody was able to and slam him and knock him out. So I think Zach is going to be able to keep this one on the feet, and I know Jose was able to show his toughness and not get finished in his Dana White's Contender Series fight. Zach is a different type of guy. He's got a lot more power than even a light heavyweight undefeated guy in Magomed Gadzhiazulov. So I am going to go Zach Reese to go out there. TKO Jose Medina round number 2. I think he drops him in round 1. Jose survives. And in round 2 gets dropped again and gets finished off midway through round number 2. Viacheslav Borshchev and James Llontop in the lightweight division. I don't know if I'm supposed to pronounce both of the L's right there, but maybe I am, maybe I'm not. James 0-1 in the UFC. Came in and fought in his UFC debut. His opponent came in on short notice and submitted him at the end of round number 1, which is kind of crazy. Viacheslav is also not doing too good in the UFC. He's 2-3-1. Both guys, if they lose here, could possibly see their shot in the UFC be over, if we're being honest with each other. He is technically 3-1 against UFC level guys, as he did finish Chris Duncan on Dana White's Contender Series by knockout. All of his wins in the UFC or Contender Series are by knockout. He lost 2 decisions to Beast. Mark Diakiese, very, very good guy. Mike Davis, a legit guy there as well. And then Chase Hooper is the other loss. So he's only losing to really, really legit guys and only beating guys that are lower tier in the lightweight division. But guess who else is lower tier? It's James Llontop. 25 years old, Peruvian, has some knockout power, a few TKO wins on his record, 2 knockouts before fighting on the Contender Series where he was able to beat Malik Lewis. I personally believe Viacheslav is just going to outstrike him. I don't necessarily remember. No, he has not. He's never been knocked out as a pro MMA fighter, so I'm going to have to go this fight goes all the way, but I think there will be knockdowns. I think there will be knockdowns from Viacheslav Borshchev in round 1 or in round number 2. But I think James Llontop will survive to the later rounds in round 2, in round number 3. Try to mix in some takedowns and barely survive to the judges' scorecards. I'm going to have to go Viacheslav to win. Am I going to go every round? I'm going to go every round. I think he knocks him down in one of the early rounds and just keeps on outstriking him in the later rounds. I would not be surprised if there's a finish at all. If there's a finish here from Borshchev, I would not be surprised. But I think it goes all the way, and I'm going to go Viacheslav 30-27 on the judges' scorecards for a fairly dominant unanimous decision. Denis Buzukja and Danny Silva in the featherweight division. I'm going to go Danny Silva by a very, very close 29-28 decision. I think Denis Buzukja, I think that's how you say the last name, is one of the more live underdogs on the card, if we're being honest here. Danny Silva has missed weight in the past, came in at 148.5 in his last fight. If he has trouble in the weight cut, his cardio could not be there. Maybe if he misses weight, and Denis could push him in the later rounds with the wrestling, with the grappling. So I think Denis is very, very live as a underdog right here. I'm not at all confident on Danny Silva to get the win, but I think technically in the striking, he is a little bit better, has better boxing, better kickboxing than Denis. Denis probably has better heart, better cardio, and better volume and things like that. Or not volume, better cardio, better heart, and better abilities later on in the fight. Danny Silva, I still believe, is going to be the overall better striker in those early rounds, and I got him winning round 1. I got him winning round 2, and I think Denis is going to come back with a vengeance and win round number 3, looking for that finish. But I got to go on all the way in what will be a very, very fun fight. At 145 pounds, I'm going to go Danny Silva by a close, possible split decision, but a close one, 29-28 for Danny Silva. Gerald Meerschaert taking on Edmen Shahbazyan on the main card this weekend on UFC Fight Night. Cannonier versus Borralho, 36 and 26. A 10-year age gap is insane for this middleweight division. Similar height, a little bit of a reach advantage for Gerald. I am going to go with Edmen Shahbazyan by a decision. He's coming off a knockout over AJ Dobson. Before that against Dolce Lungiambula. And before that, getting finished by a lot of these veterans and legit guys like Anthony Hernandez on the ground, Imavov on the ground, and Jack Hermanson on the ground. Personally, I know Edmen has the KO power. He's got the finishing ability to easily go out there and put out the lights of Gerald Meerschaert, who has been knocked out plenty of times in the past by the likes of Khamzat Chimaev, by the likes of Joe Pyfer, and by the likes of Ian Heinisch inside of the UFC and Thiago Santos early on. But I think he survives. I think Edmen, for this fight, doesn't have that one punch knockout power like a lot of those guys did. He's going to hit him, he's going to rock and knock down Gerald, possibly in this fight, and he's going to have to go to the ground if he's going to want to finish him. And he's not going to want to do that because you'll probably get reversed by Gerald Meerschaert, who we all know is very, very good in those later rounds at catching you when you're tired and finishing you. So I think Edmen is able to knock down Gerald in round 1 or in round number 2, win those rounds, and I think Gerald comes back and almost submits him. We call him GM3 for a reason, is because he goes out in round number 3 and he submits his opponent. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Gerald Meerschaert is one of the more live underdogs. If you're betting him live, and that's what I mean by live underdogs. Live betting, it's a very, very live guy to be betting on, because at the end, or towards the end of round 2, in round number 3, that's where he gets finished. That's where he gets finishes. He's got a second round submission, third round, and second round. He never gets a finish in round 1. It's always towards the later portion of round 2 or in round number 3. So I'm going to have to go 29-28 for Edmen Shahbazyan. I don't think he'll make this look easy, but he will for a little bit. Until he doesn't, that's kind of my thoughts here. Edmen Shahbazyan, unanimous decision. Michael Morales taking on Neil Magny in the welterweight division. Of course, the biggest favorite of the card, minus 650, as the 12-year younger fighter here. Absolutely insane. Of course, I do have Michael Morales winning. I think he could kind of win wherever he wants on the feet. With the striking for 3 rounds, I think he can barely edge that out. On the ground, he can barely out wrestle Neil Magny. He's got good, solid cardio as well. I don't think Neil's going to go out there and just have way, way better cardio than Michael, like Neil was able to do against Mike Malott, because Mike, his cardio was not there in the later rounds. Michael Morales, I think his cardio will definitely be. Should Morales be a 6.5 to 1 favorite? No, that's insanity. But should he go out there and make this fight look pretty easy? Neil's not a finisher. He's a decision machine. And I think Michael Morales is going to do exactly that. Take this fight to a decision, win every single round, 30-27 on the judges' scorecards. The last time he was able to get a finish was Adam Fugit, before that Trevin Giles, and these guys are known for having a little bit of iffy chins in the welterweight division. So I'm going to go Michael Morales to win here, but knock out Neil Magny, probably not. I don't really remember the last time that Neil Magny has been knocked out. Let's check. It's been a while. Santiago Ponzinibbio, 6 years ago, and before that, Lorenz Larkin back in 2016, about 8 years ago. So I got to go in all the way. A good technical back and forth striking battle. I think Neil will have a few moments here and there, but not enough to win a round. 30-27 for Michael Morales, Spider-Man. Ryan Loder taking on Robert Valentin to become the ultimate fighter of this season. I don't know what season it is, but I'm actually watching the season right now, and I love the personality of Robert Valentin. I love his style in the striking. It's really, really fun. He's got the crazy elbows from range. He's got the spinning attacks, and on the ground, he is a good grappler with very, very good submission ability. Ryan Loder in this fight, I kind of envision this fight, to be honest with you, going a little bit similar to the Dan Hooker-Mateusz Gamrot fight, where round 1, Ryan Loder's going to take down Valentin, grind and pound him a little bit, look very, very good. It's going to be like, oh, Ryan Loder's going out there looking amazing. He's going to win this fight. And then round number 2 comes, and Robert's able to defend the takedowns, use submissions to kind of get Robert a little bit more hesitant to go in for those takedowns, and then Robert's going to outstrike him on the feet. I think he does so in round number 2. I think Ryan will win round 1 with the wrestling. Round 2, Robert will attempt some submissions, use that to defend the takedowns, and outstrike Ryan by a lot in round number 2. And I'm going to go finish in round number 3. I think Ryan's going to be a little bit gassed out, going for all the wrestling and having no more success in the later rounds. And I think either Robert's going to catch him coming in with that guillotine like he did on the Ultimate Fighter. I think it was a guillotine. Might have been something a little bit different than that. Or no, it was the straight arm lock, I believe, right? I'm thinking guillotine because there was one this weekend that Dan Hooker was trying to do so many times. That's in my head. But I think he could threaten with the guillotine a lot in this fight with Ryan Loder, possibly get that one, or defend them, and then knock him out coming in. So I'm going to go knockout. Wouldn't be surprised if there was a Robert Valentin submission, but I'm going to go knockout, and I'm going to go the final round. Round number 3, Robert Valentin. That's the best name in MMA. That's my name, ladies and gentlemen. I got Valentin Robzilla by TKO in round number 3. Kaan Ofli versus Zygimantas Ramaska in the featherweight division. I did not think I was going to get that name right on the first try, but somehow I did. Zygimantas, second round knockout, and round 1 knockout. He has lost in the past to beast like Bibert Tumenov, who's very, very legit, and Vitoldas Jagelo, who's also very, very solid a few years ago. But he looked amazing on the Ultimate Fighter, outstriking his opponents, defending the takedowns very, very well, and just landing crazy, crazy shots. But he's very, very tall for the weight class. I believe he's 6 foot tall for the UFC featherweight division. Close enough. 5 foot 11 inches tall, whereas Kaan Ofli is at 5 foot 6 inches tall. The legs are going to be right there for the taking for Kaan Ofli to grab a hold of. I do believe Zygimantas is going to have to knock out Kaan Ofli if he's going to go out there and win this fight. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen, and I do believe Kaan Ofli is going to go out there, defend those big, looping, crazy strikes to Zygimantas, and he can't loop because he is so much taller and lengthier. He has the luxury of being able to throw those winding and loopy shots because, I mean, he can. He's so much taller, so much lengthier, but I think eventually Kaan Ofli at the end of round number 1 is going to close that distance, get the takedown on Ramaska, land some crazy, crazy ground and pound, go for a few submissions. I think Zygimantas will survive, and in round number 2, that is where Kaan's going to get the takedown even easier. Get the back of Zygimantas Ramaska. I've been saying it wrong. Never mind. Oh my god, I thought I had it right at the beginning of this video. Sorry about that. Zygimantas Ramaska. Oh my gosh. Wow, I'm not good with Lithuanian names. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think Kaan Ofli is going to dominate the end of round number 1, lose the beginning of round number 1. That round could go either way. And then in round number 2, get the takedown really, really easy. Get the back of Zygimantas Ramaska and rear naked choke him right at the middle. Let's go middle around number 2. So I think the over 1.5 is an absolute pick 'em because I think 2 minutes, 30 seconds of round number 2, that is where Kaan Ofli is going to submit oh my god. Let me get this right. Zygimantas Ramaska in round number 2 by rear naked choke. Should be a fun one at 145 pounds. Zygimantas, I am a fan of a lot of because he has such good striking, crazy power in his hands. He's so tall, lengthy, and he goes to war. He had a fight of the year contender against the what is the dude's name? I have his picture in my head right now. What is his name? Oh, Uzbek. I know he's from Uzbekistan, right? What is his name? I can't remember. But he had a fight of the night. Crazy, crazy war on the Ultimate Fighter. Dang. It's on the tip of my tongue right now. Somebody help me in the comments section. But yeah, I'm a fan of both guys. Kaan's always going for the finish. Zygimantas is going to war every time and going for the knockout always. So can't wait for that one at 145 pounds. Angela Hill taking on Tabatha at 115 pounds. I am going to go with Angela Hill to go out and get the win. This is a 50-50 fight. Betting odds had Tabatha Ricci as the favorite when the betting odds did start. They had Angela Hill as the underdog. Some of the odds still have Tabatha as the favorite. Some of them have Angela Hill as the favorite. Some of them have it as a 50-50 fight. This is literally a pick 'em because Angela Hill on her takedown defense or submission defense has been looking really good recently. Defended a lot of Lupita Godinez's takedowns, kept that on the feet, was able to outstrike her. She was able to submit Luana Pinheiro with the guillotine. Tabatha Hichi's been going to war recently. Tisha Pennington, very fun fight. And a very fun one with Lupita Godinez as well. And a good one with Jillian Robertson, where she did get the takedown and ground and pound. I think Angela Hill is going to be just a better striker here. And I think the takedown defense is going to be key. Tabatha is just going to be nonstop with the takedowns over and over again. And she'll win a round because of it. She might attempt the submission. She'll get some control, a little bit of ground and pound. Might win a round because of that. But overall, I have this one going all the way. Angela's not going to TKO Tabatha. I don't even remember the last time Angela Hill has knocked out anybody in the women's strawweight division. And we all know she's not going to guillotine Tabatha Hichi like she did to Luana Pinheiro. That was her only submission in her, I don't even know, 15-year MMA career. So she's got 5 knockouts, but the last one was back in 2020 against Hannah Cyphers, no longer in the UFC. So I got this going all the way, and I'm going to go Angela Hill to win by unanimous decision. Jared Cannonier taking on Caio Borralho in the UFC middleweight division. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going the underdog. Plus 170, 2-1 dog, 40 years old. I'm going him to beat the prime 31-year-old undefeated in the UFC on a crazy win streak in MMA. 15 wins in a row since losing his second pro fight. He has not lost anything since, other than a grappling match against heavyweight Jailton Almeida. That's insane. Went undefeated, 2-0 on the Contender Series, and now is 6-0 in the UFC, looking to make his mark in the middleweight division's top 5 and possibly get a title fight in 2025. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe he's going to be able to take down Jared Cannonier. Jared's got great takedown defense, and Jared just is the better striker. He's got better technique on the feet. Caio is solid with his karate movement and bounce and things like that. Jared's kicks are a lot better than Caio Borralho, and I think the boxing is going to be very even here. If we go over to the UFC stats website for both of these guys right here, Caio Borralho just still, most of his fights are grappling based. He's able to get the takedown and win the fight on the floor, but the fights that he wasn't really able to do so, wasn't able to get the takedown and was kind of just outstriking his opponents, like the Abus Magomedov fight, like the Paul Craig fight. You gotta think he wasn't really landing a crazy amount of volume in either one of those fights. If it's gonna let me press in here, but his only strikes landed per minute is 3 in his entire UFC and MMA career. 3 significant strikes per minute. Landed 11 strikes in round 1 on Abus, 21 in round 2, and 19 in round 3. That's like an average of maybe like 15, 16, or 17 strikes per round, compared to Jared Cannonier, who is a much more voluminous striker. Again, I don't know how to say that word, but he throws a lot more volume and he lands with a lot more volume than Caio Borralho. He's a better kicker. He got better volume, as we can see right here. Only reason Nasruddin had more volume than Jared Cannonier was because he caught him with that flurry right at the end and was able to knock him out in round number 4. Imavov has a lot more power than Caio, is a taller, lengthier guy than Caio. I would say is actually a better striker than Caio Borralho. When we start to go towards other guys, Sean Strickland, Marvin Vettori, these are guys Jared Cannonier is outstriking for 5 rounds, landing more strikes, 241 strikes against Marvin Vettori, about 50 strikes per round. And it's not just leg kicks and body shots, it's head strikes. This dude has a lot more volume here, and I think that's going to be the key. I don't think we're going to see more than 3 minutes of grappling. I think maybe Caio will get a takedown. That's it. A little bit of control time in the clinch. That is it. For the most part, this is going to be a striking affair, and I think Caio is going to get out volume. It's going to be a close one, but I got the dog, Jared, the Killer Gorilla Cannonier, by unanimous decision. That is it. That is my full card prediction for UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Borralho. Gonna go Jared Cannonier in the main event by unanimous decision. as a 2-1 underdog. I got Angela Hill in a 50-50 fight. On the betting odds, I got her by 29-28 decision. I got Robert Valentin becoming the next Ultimate Fighter with a 3rd round TKO. I got Kaan Ofli, again, becoming the next Ultimate Fighter by a 2nd round submission rear naked choke. I got Michael Morales staying at undefeated status, 17-0, beating Neil Magny by unanimous decision. Edmen Shahbazyan by 29-28 decision. Danny Silva by a close, possible split decision, but a 29-28 that could go either way. Viacheslav Borshchev, I'm definitely on the fence on if it's a knockout or not. I could switch that prediction, so Viacheslav by knockout or by a unanimous 30-27 decision. I wouldn't be surprised either way. Reese by round 2 TKO. Cong Wang by unanimous decision, and Jacqueline Calvalcanti by split decision. That's the full card prediction. Thanks for watching. Check that pinned comment, of course, for all of the bets we are making for this UFC fight night. Gerald, Cannonier, Caio, Borralho. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one.